I'm not going to talk now, you know.
I don't mind.
I don't want to say a word.
I don't mind. Well, I'll explain it myself. I'll explain it myself. You're digging up your gold, exactly. That's what you're doing.
No, this is hash bars.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lump of hash. I'm going to divide that up now into 9-ounce bars, right?
Stop that.
And I'm going to sell them off for 700 each.
Stop.
No, I want, because any of you listening now, it's there it is now, it's up for sale there now, you know. So
just stop, you'll be raided. So you have to mix that, what is it, clay, is it?
Clay, yeah. It's all, you can see some of it's wet.
Yeah.
And some of it's dry, it's all over the place, but it looks very messy, but in a few minutes, it'll all go into, you know, proper, you know.
Yeah.
But you know the whole secret is,
no.
I used to hate doing this, right?
Mm.
And then I was going to join the gym to get rid of my stomach.
Yeah.
And then I thought, right, don't see this as work. Don't join the gym. Do an hour of this every day.
Great.
And that really gets the stomach in, because you can feed it when you're doing it. You can feed it across your stomach. You see.
Yeah.
You know. And it's hard work. You need to do that, Derek.
Nah.
Yeah, I see a small punch there now.
No, at all. Jeez, no way.
You should come down.
No.
You should come down and do an hour of this, and I would charge you, right? And you don't have to join the gym, right?
I'll come down next time and I'll do a bit of pottery with you.
No, but this now would be, see it as exercise, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the thing. No, I actually there's a thing called a pug mill, right?
Mm.
And it's a big machine.
Yeah.
It's as big as a table there. And I have one in Slurno. And I had it down here. But it takes up an awful lot of space.
Alright, okay.
And and every time then you go to it, if you don't clean the machine before you do it, you know, if you're using it every day, it'll be alright.
Mm-hmm.
But when you use it and then stop using it, now this is usually the time when the phone rings.
Yeah.
It always rings when I'm like this, you know.
Down, beauty.
It's messy now, but in a minute now it'll stop getting as messy as this, and then it works. And if I had some way, I've a ton and a half of clay out there.
Wow.
And it's all dry, and if you do this with a whole ton and a half, and if I only had land,
yeah,
I'd dump the whole lot and buy in the clay.
Bind it.
No, buy it in.
Oh, buy it in, yeah.
Yeah, because I can buy a bag, 12.5 kilos of clay.
Yeah.
$4.50.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, buy it ready to use.
Yeah, well, right.
And this nonsense, like this could take me an hour.
Your phone is going.
Yeah, that's only text message now. But this could take me an hour. And you know, for $4.50. And the fact that I bought the clay in the beginning.
Yes.
Like a woman came there last week to buy clay off me, and I sold it for €8 a bag.
Shh, don't be saying that in camera.
No, that's alright. I sold for it, but that's even at €8, it didn't pay me to sell it to her. You know, it didn't pay me to do the work that I'm doing now.
Yes.
To get the clay ready.
And where did you get that clay from?
This all came from Stoke-on-Trent. But I made a mistake there last year. Sometimes the company I deal with, they'd sell me scrap. There could be bags with no names in it.
Oh, right.
Could be glazed materials. And they just put everything on a pallet and send it off to me. And I buy it for €50, €100.
Yeah.
But last time they charged me, I think they charged me €400 for it. And where I got all glazed materials
Yes.
and everything before, this time I got pile of clay, all hard clay. It was no good to me. Like, what could I do? I couldn't bring it back.
Yeah.
I couldn't send it back, you know.
What did you do then?
So I just said, that's what I have. That's where the ton and a half is coming from.
Oh right, okay.
But it's not good, you know. It's I got a bad deal. But like about 6 or 7 years ago, I got stuff from them, and I got a brilliant deal over it. Absolutely brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
So now it's starting to work.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of preparation on the same, isn't there?
There is, yeah. There is, but like if you, there is with the clay, but that's why I'm sorry I have so much of it, you know.
Yeah.
But as I said already, if I see this as exercise, not as work, it kind of makes it easy, so it does.
Yeah.
As I can feel the stomach muscles moving now, you know.
Right. So you're telling me they wanted me went sailing?
Yeah.
Yeah, around. What? What?
You want me to tell you about John, do you?
I believe it's a good story. I believe it's a good story. Well, just while you're walking away there, since if you're getting.
Oh yeah. That's like talking to a man in an exercise machine. You're sitting down doing nothing.
Exactly. Well,
Will I tell you about it?
yeah, do. Oh, you're working, of course.
Can't. Exactly. John, I bought a 20-foot boat in Margate in England from a fellow called John. And John was very conservative, I'd say ex-military, and a fella that never went anywhere in the boat, you know. And anyhow, but I was on the phone to him a few times, and he rang me to know how he was getting on and all that. So I sailed the boat back from Margate, and he didn't want me to do it. But anyhow, I sailed it back. So anyhow, I invited him over, and he came over. And he came over for a weekend, and he stayed here the first night, and then we got the bus to Clifton, and we went up to Achill, and that in itself was some journey, you know.
Yeah.
So went up to Achill anyhow, and we were in Achill Sound, and that evening, we went through Bull's Mouth. We went under the bridge in Achill. Get down the mast and went under the bridge. And we went through Bull's Mouth. Now Bull's Mouth is where, when you go under the bridge in Achill, the whole bay opens up. It's about a mile wide. 2 or 3 miles long. And it's a huge area.
Yeah.
But the outlet for that goes through this little tiny, small entrance called Bull's Mouth. And so when the tide goes out, it's low down here, and all this water funnels through Bull's Mouth. It's notorious. So I done a lot of canoeing, and I know about the currents and things like that, you know. So I went through it. I wasn't worried. I aimed for it and went through. But like when you get into Bull's Mouth, you go through like a bullet.
Yeah.
You know, so fast. So went through that, but it scared him out of his mind.
Yeah.
And then we went to the other side of Blacksalt, between Blacksalt and Achill. And there was a swell coming in from the Atlantic. See, inside Achill Sound we were protected, you know. But once we got outside Bull's Mouth, there was a swell. And the swell was huge. but safe. It was like just, you know, like that, the way I was telling you. But when you're on top of the crest, you're very high, and then you go down and you can't see anything because there's water all around you. So there was no problem. But like, he was from Margate and he'd never experienced anything. There's no swell in Margate, you know. So he couldn't get over it. And then we sailed into Belmullet and spent the night there. And the weather, you see, Belmullet is from Blacksod into Belmullet is a narrow passage, and if you got the wind coming in and the tide coming out, you got a rip tide, and it can be ferocious. Like, the boat is going everywhere, you know. And I forgot to tell you, I lost my teeth there. my teeth. It was so bad my teeth fell out.
Wow.
I have teeth somewhere in the bottom of Blacksod Bay. But I was coming back. But coming back was ferocious. It was just terrible, you know.
Yeah.
And the boat there was no problem, but it was just terrible, you know.
Yeah.
So we pulled into the harbour at the end of Blacksod, and we were exhausted. We had only come 3, 4, 5 miles, you know, and we were exhausted, and we pulled in there and there's nobody around, nothing. And I went off to the shop to look for milk or something, and it turned out I didn't get one. There's no shops there. So, but somebody reported the boat. See, they have like a sea watch,
yeah,
there, and somebody reported the boat as a strange boat coming in. And of course the guards came down because it's a drugs thing, you know.
Yeah.
The guards came down. I wasn't there now. And the boat hadn't settled right in the harbour. A tiny harbour. It hadn't settled right, and the boat was 8 or 10 foot away from the side. But they came down anyway and they wanted to search the boat, but they couldn't get onto it. So they got something like scaffolding, timber or something, some kind of timber anyway. A narrow piece of timber. I saw it afterwards. And the guard walked that. That must have really taken something, you know, to walk that.
Yeah.
But, you know, he did it anyway. And he searched the boat, and I suppose quizzed John about what was going on and all that. And I came back, not getting milk. I came back, no guards, nothing around. But the plank was still there, you see. And John and he was wearing a white shirt, and he was sitting there, and he was all hunched up and traumatized. That's all, absolutely traumatized. Like, you know, you can see it. It's somebody from Margate, and the police coming down, you know. And they would have been friendly. If I had been there, they would have been friendly. But you see, he didn't. He saw himself being, I suppose, arrested or whatever. You know? Yeah. So anyhow, we got over that, you know, and we sailed back into back through Bullsmouth the second time, and don't remember the swell on the way back. We sailed back through anyhow, and we moored in Achill Sound, and that's 7 miles from Achill, and you're out in the middle of the country. So I said to him, I had a bicycle, but he didn't, you know. So I said to him to just go down the road and put his thumb up, like country, anybody can lift.
Yes.
And so he set off, and about an hour or 2 hours later I set off. But I had to tie up the boat and leave everything right and all that kind of thing. So I set off on the bicycle and I cycled it. And it's a hard cycle because there's no ditches. The road just goes out and it's all bendy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it at the time, but what he had done is he'd been walking along and the road might have turned, but he didn't see it, no ditches, he had no torch, and he had to walk straight into a gully or whatever he walked into. So I arrived in Achill, no sign of John, and I started looking for John, and I was coming down the main street, and I see John, 12 o'clock at night, and he huddled up. He's sitting inside the doorway, like sitting inside it, down in his hunkers, with his hands in his head. He was finished. He really was, though, you know.
He was a man beaten.
No, he told me he had fallen off the road 3 or 4 times, right? So he'd fallen into the ditch 3 or 4 times. He had ended up walking the 7 miles, right?
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of thing would never happen in Margate. He'd walked those 7 miles. I don't know why nobody gave him a lift. He'd walked it, couldn't find accommodation, and there he was bent down for the night in the doorway. So I went round, nobody would let us in anywhere, and finally about 1 o'clock in the morning I got B&B for the 2 of us, and Jesus, John. And then that's all. We just get back into Galway. Then he got on the train or the bus and home.
Did he say goodbye to you or anything?
Yeah, I don't remember any animosity, but I never heard from him again. And I'd like to get in touch with him but I've lost his number, you know.
I don't think he wants to get to the tube.
He probably wouldn't answer. But I was telling you, like, I'd say more happened to him in that weekend than happened in the rest of his life. You know? Because he was very conservative, really like, you know, urban kind of Englishman who would have had a routine probably and gone down for his pint on a Sunday evening, you know. He was that kind, and you know, but geez, you know, like, you know, he just had, you know, even being in Connemara would have been traumatic for him, never mind anything happening to him. Isn't it true?
Oh, gee, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.